Check. Check. Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Thursday Night Saws. I'm Tim Ard, your host, and I'm glad to be here tonight. And hopefully, going to be continuing on a little bit with what we started last week from Open Chat, but more or less the project that I started of here to there, trying to get everybody to put in some input about how they first learned about chainsaw operations. What's your what's your teacher? Who's your teacher? How did you learn? And so that's what we're kind of looking at, and also kind of looking at different chats and see what is going on. But just continuing on with that here to there tonight. And I had a message already from Nash Corson and said, "Where do you get your files?" And I sent back a message that what I have is FERD, and so there's several outlets for those uh, tree stuff, Bailey's. The FERD file is well known in the industry, so it's a pretty neat file. Lasts a long time, and there's several different sizes as far as round files, and then also they have both types of chisel bit square grind square files. So those are good. Get things kind of organized here tonight. Looks like Chris is checking on.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Very good, very good. So how was your week?
Oh, crazy. One of my boss's relatives had a medical emergency down in Florida,
Oh,
so she had to be flown back. So I flew to South Florida yesterday and then drove back today with her car. So
oh wow.
yeah, now I'm getting ready to fly to Texas for the wildfires. So see
Heading
how
out
many
there.
states I can cover in a few days.
You do get around a little bit. I used to do that. I don't know that
Oh yeah,
I miss it all, but it is quite enjoyable meeting people and going places.
yeah. Tiring though. I'm tired.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you dropping in tonight. I don't know who all we have coming in tonight. We'll see.
Cool.
But I wanted to also kind of start recording here, so we've got that. But so you didn't get a chance to do the tree work this week, huh?
No, I'm gonna before I leave, I'm gonna go put some trees on the ground in the morning. So then I got my son-in-law works for me and another guy. I'm gonna put them on the ground. They'll clean them up Saturday while I'm gone.
Oh, very good. So you get it
Keep
all
it clicking.
out there.
Yeah.
We have session coming up the April 25th, 26th, 27th. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh man, it's gonna be a blast. We got had all of the legacy guys are coming in, so that's gonna be cool. And then looks like we got some. Have we got anybody signed up for the storm class yet?
No, I got two that are asking, but I haven't got any of the Georgia one is for April 2nd through the 4th is about seven on that one, so it's looking good.
Wow, cool. Yeah, well, I mean that, like I've said, the I've been telling everybody trying to drum it up. Hopefully, we'll get some folks to join, but it changed my life. I mean, I didn't know, I barely knew which end of the saw to hold. I thought I knew, but after I took the class, that really is what propelled me to really get into trees. So, exact same class. So, looking forward to it.
Excellent, excellent. And you've got some accommodations there, and I know there was two or three hotels available around. It's going to be close to Danville's where we're starting, right? Danville, Virginia.
Yeah, got Pit Crew's headquarters. So we'll probably have it. We just built a new truck shop. We can put two semis inside and work on them. We'll probably do the classroom aspect of it out there in the new shop. It's super nice. So people get to see that, see the big 53-foot tool trailer with all the saws and all that fun stuff. And then about 20-minute ride out to the Cardi's Blueberry Farm. Beautiful spot, about 60 acres of pines, and we can choose from any of them. So, really good spot, way off the road. Gonna be a good time.
Excellent, excellent. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Very good. I didn't see any green there on the microphone. Let's see here. Yeah, we've got the Georgia one will be April the 2nd through the 4th, so that's the first one. We still got some time for the Virginia, but that the Georgia one's getting kind of close. And so looking forward to getting that one kind of finished up. And we got people coming to that from Arizona, Virginia, I think in Missouri, North Carolina. So that one's a busy one.
That's awesome. Did you do something with Samaritan's Purse this week? Is
Yeah,
that what
had two sessions with them. I did the virtual indoor sessions Monday, and then had one yesterday morning. So I'm doing the inside classrooms as I usually do live, but we've done it by Zoom, and it's worked out pretty well. And then we've got the instructors that we trained up there last year. They're taking two of each one of those groups, and they're doing the hands-on session. So far it's worked out really good.
No, that's cool.
Yeah. So
It's a
it's
great organization.
yeah, it's amazing how many people they have that they're working with around the country, and people go and come there like you do. I mean, it's unbelievable how many flying in and flying out to the next place and driving in, driving out. It's just
Yeah,
really cool.
it is cool.
Let's see a message from Nash I just posted. He said he's asking about the file types, and I use the FERD for the square filing, Nash, and I've got a couple videos on our YouTube site. If you uh, put in chisel bit or square filed, full chisel, it's how to on that to do, and so you can take a look at that. Hopefully, it gives you some insight on it, or maybe you've already seen some other videos. There's several different ways, but it's really easier than round filing when you practice it just a little bit. So I use the double bevel flat version. I don't use the triangular. Let's see if I've got one here. This is the FERD double bevel, and so I think it's great because you can actually do your tooth. It'll do the chisel and the side angles and all, but it also makes it where you can use this for your depth gauges, your rakers. So it makes it pretty nice in this type. Some people do like the triangular version of it, but it's a little bit harder. It tends to roll a little bit more. Whereas on this one, you can more or less. I've got a little tooth here to show you. If you think about this, you can put the file up there, and so you got 45 here, and then you got 45 here, and turn the file 45. So what you're going to try to do is to put a channel right up to the point underneath that. So that gets your chisel angle. You put a V right up to the point, and then your other 45 sets your angle back. So you got, if you started off here, you come back 45, down 45, turn the file 45, and that'll put it right up there to the point as it's supposed to be. It's easier if you kind of start off learning it, is to get you a square grind chain, and then you can be able to practice it as you go back, but or get you a older chain and convert it over. So it's a little bit easier to do it that way if you've already got the angle set up. But it's just basically 345 positions on the file. Some people file from the inside, I mean the outside to the inside, and for years we've gone from the inside to the outside. I think the files last a little bit longer that way, and you can see your angle going right up, the V going up to the point. If you don't get that right, it's not going to cut correctly. So you wanna think about that. But it's pretty cool to learn. It's much faster, much smoother. And another one you might want to look at, it's kind of a derivative of that, is the hexa. And so steel produces a hexa file, which is a six-sided file, has two almost flat. The top surface has an indicator mark on it, and then the bottom one is flat. And that sets up kind of a V on the side of it. And also, A-top chain out of Sweden has a similar filing setup that they use, a very similar to that flat double bevel on it. And so that it puts a V in that side plate. I also have some videos on the YouTube site on that, so you can take a look at that. And I had some conversations this week having to do with social media's effect on training, and there's some really good uh, videos out there, and some guys who are excellent cutters, and they have the ability to put the trees about anywhere they want them. Some of it came through from game of logging techniques over the years, and then some of it I guess they've kind of developed on their own. But one thing I've noticed is, and I guess I'm a little bit remiss if I don't say something, is that it's so important that guys who are showing cutting trees is somewhat entertaining, that's for sure. But they need to make sure that they are explaining, the planning process to get up and to that position. Because what happens if people don't understand the planning process that you have, they don't really understand the leans and the situations of hazards that can end up with struck bys and those kinds of things. If you explain the entire plan to them, then they can kind of absorb what needs to be thought through. And they have the ability then to kind of draw a line as far as their abilities at that point, and maybe seek out, someone else to give them some little bit more instruction. So important to think through that. And I've got some illustrations of that. Chris, what do you consider on that kinds of stuff? I noticed you had a pretty neat video out this week talking about the face notch, and you explained that, and I think that's the way to do it. I mean, when you put out that planning information, then when you go to the tree, people learn from it. But they can say, boy, they put that tree right where they wanted it to go, but then what happens is they try it and it doesn't work, and
Yeah.
sometimes people get hurt that way also. So it's important that we maintain that planning process as a first step.
Yeah. Hey, I just took a note. That's something I need to do with our social media. My daughter handles all of that stuff, but we need to focus on that, the plan to get there before you even make that notch. A whole lot of information has to be obtained before you get to that. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, it's important.
That helps people to understand why you're so amazing with the cuts. And so that's an important thing. When you walk up and somebody just says, "Well, we're going to put this one over there," and that's where we're going to put it. And watch this, and you really don't know why it happens. You watch them go around the tree, but you don't really understand. And most of the time, because they're trying to do it in a short version of video, is the tree hits the ground, and they say, "Wow, that did it." It's right where it's supposed to go, but then they don't show the stump, so you really don't know whether it went where it's supposed to go or not.
Right.
So that's a critical thing too. But it's so important that we have that planning process there.
You tell a lot about a man by a stump. I'll have I'll have volunteers say, "Well, this is what happened." I tell the stump tells me the whole story. You don't even have to talk. Everything's right there.
Yeah, that's what Soren used to say. That's really the only signature that we have, isn't it? That's what's left out there. That when somebody walks by it 2 or 3 years from now, they say, "Wow, that guy was pretty good. Was cutting that," or "Young lady won."
Yeah,
There's some of I've been watching, on some of the West Coast fallers. Some young ladies that are pretty good with the trees. So it's not just the men nowadays.
yeah. I've noticed with women, we have some women that are that cut with us. The one thing about women is they're really precise, and they don't have all the bad habits that we have. Most of them haven't run a saw much. If you show them how to do it, go through the process, and they do it just like you told them.
And I found they listen pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's something that's important.
yeah. Not us so hard headed men.
I ran some videos. This is kind of interesting. This guy, I don't know if you've ever watched him or not, but it's Timber Cutter Patriot, and his name is Alan Collier. I sent some messages, and I hope it's okay to show some of this, but it's it's all right. But this is I don't have any sound on some of these, but it's something where when you look at this, he has some different uh, processes. One of them, he goes down through and gives some good information. Let me see here if I can find it first. That's a dead one there. Well, I thought I had it right there. Anyway, it was he had two of them. One of them, yeah, this is it. This is the one he was talking about, I think.
I mean, the biggest thing you got to do is to
Can
visualize
you hear
which
it,
way
Chris?
you're going. You got to picture the lean. Which way is it leaning? Okay, it's going to lean down there. You know what I mean? I'm going to knock you for there. Don't. It ain't going to hurt anything. You know what I mean? So I'm looking. What's it going to do? Is it going to hit something? Will it bring something come back to me? I don't know. You know what I mean? You got to really look at everything. Then when you get that situated, you know what's going to happen. Okay, so when I trip this loose, which way am I going to go? This way or this way? I can't tell you how many times, man. I pick my right to go right, and I'll be daggone if that tree didn't go left, man, and it would have crushed me. You know what I mean? So really, for planning which way you're going, it's got a lot to do with everything. You know what I mean? I always do leave the trip in the back 98% of the time, due to the fact I can clip it and leave. When I get over there around the tree or back where I want to be, that's when I'm looking up. A lot of you guys don't see it on my video because I'm already off the camera because I don't have the cameraman like today, Green Bean. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to show you how it's done. Here we go. There's briars in this woods like crazy, you know, but you can't be a sissy. You just got to go get her done.
Changed a little aggressive. You know, it's quite interesting, you know, to think through. He has a lot of experience, and he started off with you know, kind of a planning process of what he was going to do. It's not true on all of his videos, but it is something where he does have the experience to explain it, and he's a good talker. And the only thing is that, you know, when you start to think about it, and he really talks about it as being training, and that's just why I sent him a message today, just to see what his background is. You know, to be able to get information from here to there, you kind of have to have a plan to be able to teach others, and it's something that a lot of times we don't think about, that there's not only experienced out there, there's non-experienced. So if you don't give that information about the planning process, they really don't know, you know, how to do it. And I think that he's had some experience with game of logging, or someone who has been through it. And hey, Robert, hang around or check in. And so he has one on here that a friend of his was working with, and if you look at this one, it's the small backleaner technique, boring through and putting the wedges in. His friend did the cutting, had a hard hat and stuff on, and then he did that. And you know, I just wanted to ask him where he learned that technique. Evidently, his friend was kind of showing some of it, or maybe he was showing a friend. But that's a game of logging technique that Soren had started really promoting, or it was actually after my time with it too. We were we were down doing a presentation down in I think it was Louisiana or Southern Mississippi for the American Pulpwood Association. That time is American Forest Resources now, and we were doing some cutting, and we were coming back up, and they had chosen some trees along a creek bank, and Soren took a couple of big poplar trees and brought them back around, and more or less he, we were walking back out for lunch. They had some barbecue sack lunches for us, and we sat down with that. And as we were walking, before we get set down with that, we were walking back up where they had kind of plowed it in with the skidder, and there was a pine tree that was leaning way back, a little small one, only about probably a foot in diameter at most, probably about 35 feet tall or so. And somebody said, "Hey, Swede, see if you can take that one back the other way, you know, because it was leaning back, you know, several feet." And he just laughed and got on up there. And this young fella uh, came up there to us, and he said, "I got a technique you can take that with." And Soren said, "Oh, really?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "My dad and I we used to put up fence lines." And he says he came up with a technique, taking his home light EZ. He would bore through the tree and put a hickory wedge in the back of it, cut the two sides, and drive it back over so that it went into the landowner's property they were putting up the fence for, instead of taking and putting it over into the other man's pasture.
Hmm.
And he drew it out on paper sack there, and I wish I still had that. But next week we were up in Tennessee with it, and Soren said, let's do that small back leaner and see if it works, because he had tried a couple of them before we left that day, and he set it up. But one thing the young fella didn't tell us is if you don't take the second cut out of the face, when you drive the wedge through, it can pop the hinge off of it, and then you got issues. And so we had one, and Soren hit it last time, and it kind of went over into the crowd. And the safety manager with Mead Paper was there, and he didn't think it was so funny. But everybody was kind of like the Red Sea. They just kind of parted and laughed and came back together. But he could have taken a couple out at that time. But after we practiced it a little bit, it's a very valuable technique for small back leaners. And this one he did very well. So I just wanted to check and see how he learned that. I don't think I've got sound on this, but you can kind of see it. He bored all the way through the face notch, and then he went back and put another slot in the front. This is a friend of his. So he's used a helmet system and a face shield because he put that down. He bored through above that first cut into the face notch, which is what you should do, because that opens up another 3/8 kerf to be able to take and keep the wedge from lifting the hinge out as it comes through. It doesn't sit back because you still have the two sides holding. Now he's got two wedges in there, so he's got 2 inches of lift on it. If you look at this tree, it's very broad canopy, probably 25 feet tall, something like that, maybe 30. And when he cuts the two sides, you can see those 2 wedges lifted over. That's what we call the small back leaner technique. It's not really that effective on a tree bigger than this, but because you can be able to start from the back and place your wedges. But if you have a question, I think I may be wrong. Is that a Bartlett pear? Chris, can you tell?
No, I can't tell.
It's kind of, you'll see it in a minute when he starts to drive it over. It's kind of a big bushy top. So I think it's a ornamental Bartlett pear out there at the corner of this driveway. But he does an excellent job cutting on it. And then,
yeah, that's not easy to do. The doing your back cuts, easy to get into your wedge.
yeah, he went just well, he made it open enough in the back because he had diameter there. And then Timber Cutter Patriots putting the wedges in. And you see it's a pretty gnarly looking tree. He said it had several feet of back lean. And he did go into almost two wedge lengths. Robert Albritton checking in there. Unmute. You're muted. There you go. Say something now.
How about that?
There you go.
Well.
Did you see that one? That small back leaner? You've done that a couple times, haven't you? He put the wedge all the way through from the back and drove it up. So that's one. It definitely came from Game of Logging. So had some exposure to it at some time, or it could have been from Arbor Master. But he's got one on here that's no face notch that he was kind of copying after some guys in North Carolina. He did pretty good with the tree, but one thing that I found a little bit that, he's such a good cutter, but he's very independent, and I think a godly man, but he's some thoughts here.
Love it, but I think you should wear a hard hat, brother. I choose not to. You know why? Because I live in America. And I think it should be your right whether you should do what you think is right for you. Because it's not you out there risking your life without a hard hat. It's me for a reason. What is that reason? I believe there's blind spots in them. I tried a hard hat for a while. I really did. All different kinds, even this one. That one right there is the most comfortablest one you can get, but I still don't like it. I just don't. I don't like the weight after a while. I don't like it. It's not for me. And in the occupation that I do and that I've done, you have to be comfortable doing what you're doing because your focus should be on what you're doing so trees don't barber chair on you or land on you or kill you. So I appreciate it, but it's not for me. I don't know how many times I got to repeat this to people, but I love you. God bless you. Boom, baby. Love it. But I thank you.
And he's pretty adamant about it.
Hey, y'all. I love what I do, man. Been doing it for a long time. I just want to tell y'all, if you think a hard hat is going to save you and it makes you a professional, then do it. I've never come on this app telling anybody what to do, but man, they're like beating a dead horse every video I do, and it's really getting old. I believe in freedom, okay, right here. I believe it should be your right to do what you should do with your body. Me not wearing a hard hat does nothing for you. And then people say, well, I can't believe you just said that they're communists. I mean, what else do you call it, y'all? Huh? Somebody that tells you to do what God gave me a right. I'm accountable for my own salvation, okay? That's the only thing that matters in this world. Everything else, man trying to tell man what to do, that's communism. I like freedom, you know what I mean? I'll never tell you what to do, man. I'll try to help you how to cut a tree, you know what I mean? All that. But I'll never tell you what to do. That should be your right. You do whatever you feel comfortable with. You like the chainsaw you use. You like whatever, man. Whatever keeps you safe and alive, that's what I want you to do. If this hurts your feelings, I got a big tissue for you. Oh, yeah, I got something else too. A whole bag of whatever. Boom, baby. Hey, y'all.
He's quite a character. But you know, when you start to look at it, he's got a lot of experience, and he's got, I don't know, 260, I think, on 60,000 on YouTube followers, and a bunch on Facebook and other, you know, and he's done quite well, probably a lot more than he's ever made logging. But it's something where he's done it for many years. And so you start to think about, to be able to share information, you know, where did he get his training from? Who shared with him? He's got bits and pieces of different programs that are out there, but evidently he hasn't ever been injured in the woods, that's for sure. What do y'all think?
Man, I
I
think
would think
about
with that many followers, and you know, and he's looking for everyone he could probably get, um, and he's trying to show people what to do and how to do. You know, I just wonder how many people decide, well, if this guy's not going to wear a hard hat, why should I? And Tim, you've seen one of my hard hats that one of my guys had on that kicked back and took two chunks of out of the hard hat, you know, two different teeth that hit that hard hat. And if my guy hadn't had that hard hat on, it'd have been in his brain.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So I'm a firm believer in hard hats.
before he got too big on his numbers, back in some of the earlier videos, he had one where he was running a saw. I don't know whether it had a stock muffler on it or not. It's kind of like Chris's, but he put a hard hat on because it was making his head hurt. His ears were hurting, so he had the hard hat on. No screen, no glasses, but he had the hard hat on. And you know, he was saying that he wore it because it was making his head hurt. His ears were ringing after he went home. But you know, that hard hat. Another one he's got is that you can't see up, you can't see around, and I've heard that for years, and it is somewhat a little bit restrictive, but it's something that you can get used to. And it's so important that when you think about the number one injury out there, and there are a lot of cuts, but the serious ones are the struck bys. And so people getting hit in the head with limbs and things like that, that's really the serious situation. What do you say, Chris?
I think a lot of people like to see stuff like that. If you look on social media, a lot of people have a lot of followers. They're not doing things safe. I think people like to watch that, but I'm right there with both of you. I had one of my guys, he followed the plan. He did his cut, got 16 feet away. When the tree went down, it hit another tree and the limb went back and hit his hard hat, knocked two teeth out, and he had a concussion. But he would have been dead right there. And I mean, very skilled with a chainsaw. Been running his whole life. Followed the plan, did everything right, knew what he was doing, but the hard hat saved his life. So I'm a big proponent. When you work with me or volunteer with me, if you don't wear the hard hat, you don't run a chainsaw, you don't get in the woods.
Yeah.
Plain
Well, there's a lot of guys out there that kind of work as a contract cutter to someone, and I guess they're considered 1099, and they may be working for somebody who's got 5 or 6 other employees, but he's a contract cutter to them, and they're very skilled felling. But then when somebody gets hurt, it's something that costs a lot of people. It's not only the employer that's out of somebody to help run his business, by producing wood, but it's also a girlfriend or family or kids or next door neighbors or you know, and plus, people don't realize, and I guess with an automobile, I hope they have automobile or truck insurance, right? And if you've got some kind of auto insurance, you're actually part of a group. If you were to have an accident and you didn't have insurance and you had to pay for everything, you know, it's like I dented the front bumper in that accident a few weeks ago with the RV, and it's $38,000 just to fix the fiberglass and straighten the bumper out. And if I didn't have insurance, I mean, you'd be out of it. Or medical, my hospital bill's $365,000 right now. And you start thinking through it that if you didn't have insurance, what would you do? Well, like I told him, I said, really, if you're not concerned about what other people are contributing, and I know it's America, we don't have socialistic medicine. We have insurance that everybody contributes to be able to cover the cost when people are to take care of each other, our brother's keeper. And if you don't want to think about your safety and those around you, then you should cancel your insurance and just hopefully you make it through it. And I think that's the way I have to kind of look at it a little bit. But the biggest thing is, and I can't figure this out. It's like I used to tell a lot of the field guys back years ago with the chainsaw sales. Is that when I went to Sweden and Finland in '81, and I went to a lot of dealerships over there, they had premix fuel they were selling, and then they had their largest revenues at that time. Over 40% of these shops' revenues, one after another I went to, 40% of their revenues were PPE, safety apparels, hard hats, boots, chaps, pants, gloves, and 40% of their revenues. And so I come back and I got thinking, here we are in the United States, we're passing up all this stuff. And really, we'd still be that way today if OSHA hadn't made the regulations for the logging industry. And then more or less tree care picked up from the logging industry as we started those programs to get people going with, climbing devices and PPE. And, Soren and I tried for years to sell cutting pants and didn't do too well with it. And now guys are buying $400 and $500 ones left and right. And it's something to wear because it's cheaper than going to the emergency room, and it's cheaper than bleeding, and it's cheaper than having their family take care of them, you know. And so it's something to wear too. If you're a good cutter and you want to get a YouTube channel or another training channel going, then there's a lot of revenue in PPE if you just think about it. That's one merchandise that's bigger dollars, and it's also good for the user. So why would you want to pass that up? Because if you're professional, you have the ability to wear that. And in other countries, you don't have. And he's right about that. In America, you do have a choice. But my feeling is God gave us the information to think through safety and, and to be able to apply these things to our operations, because it doesn't only affect us. When you run down the road drunk and you run into somebody else's vehicle, it doesn't just affect you. And yeah, you're free to do what you want to do, but that's the same situation there. And when it's something that's known, it's like one guy told me, it'd be great to go to a cabin and every once in a while light up the old kerosene lamp for the weekend, be kind of rustic. But then on the other hand, when you get back home, it's nice to flip the switch. So once you know about that switch and how it can work so easy, it's kind of crazy, to think about. I think I'm just going to change all my stuff over to kerosene. So once you know about PPE and what it can do for you and how it can protect you and the rights of those around you, then it becomes something that you can specialize in, and you can make a lot of revenue off of it. Safety sells. I've said that for years. And the thing is that everybody hasn't heard about it before. And, if people go to Game of Logging or Arbor Master or any of the other North American Training, all those, and they see these things, if they make the decision to go with it, all of them come back and say their life is much better. They feel more comfortable and they're producing more. And, that's the thing. But I see so many people that just walk up to the tree and start cutting, and they may be looking up, and he mentioned that several times, but I can show you 4 other videos to where he never looked up. And I don't necessarily look up while I'm cutting either, because Soren used to say, when you want to look up, when that limb's right here or way up there, and so you look at that and you determine what the dangers are, and then as soon as that tree starts to move, when you release it, you're out of there. You're back that 15 or 20 feet or behind another tree or whatever, because you know what the potential is for struck bys. So, Robert, explain a little bit about your history. It's been a few weeks. I don't know if anybody recognizes you or not. Maybe we got some other questions coming in here I'll look at.
Well, my experience last month was my 34th year in the tree business and business owner. And when I started my business, I had never cut a tree in my life, never seen it done, and couldn't tell you a magnolia from a dogwood. And I quit a job and, started cutting trees. And I just said every day that I'm not going to do something stupid. I'm coming home. And the thought process it started early with me and how to figure these things out and what was going to work. And I've been at it for 34 years now. After a while of being in business, I got hooked up and went through Arbor Master training back in 97, I think, 96, 97. And that's where I met you. But, before that, I had never worn a hard hat. I've never worn a pair of chaps. And, to go through y'all's program, you had to have it. And I hurried into the store, picked me up a hard hat and some chaps. And since then, it's something that I don't have to be on the job to wear it. If I'm cutting here at home, I'm going to put it on. Whether somebody's watching or not, I do it. Everything I've got is just as valuable at home as it is on the job. So we wear it. I wear it. And I guess I wish I'd have started the hearing protection way before that because I just went to the doctor yesterday and I've got some permanent loss of hearing. And but they did say all of it's not probably due to loud noises. But again, I'd never wore a pair of muffs or hard hat until Harbor Master.
A lot
And
of that's gray beard,
yeah, that gray beard, it just come with it, I guess. Chris is sporting some too there.
Oh yeah, that's wisdom.
There you go, sir.
Mine is slick now. That radiation, boy, it'll take it away from you. I got just a few little patches of beard, and that's it. Chris, explain again about when you started. You started as a teenager too, didn't you?
Yeah, I lived out in the country, so my job when I was old enough to run a saw was to cut firewood. We heated the house with firewood, so had an old Poland saw my dad gave me an old 74 pickup truck. And I'd go out where they've been logging close to us and all the scrap stuff that they left laying around. It was my job to, on the weekends, cut that up and load it in that old truck and split it and stack it. So if I didn't do my job, then everybody was cold in the house.
Oh, goodness.
Wow.
Yeah.
So y'all heated.
Yeah, heated the whole house. That was only source of heat for a long time. But when I moved out, they got central heat and air.
That's like a lot of friends I had, they once they moved out, they got a bathroom, they had an outhouse for a long time.
Yeah.
The tree business has been good to me, for 34 years. I've been blessed. I've been blessed. God's been good to me with it. And, whether it's a job or whether it's whatever, people tell me, oh, Robert, you did a good job. You done this, you done that. I'm going to give God all the credit first. But, he's put me where I'm at.
Amen.
Yeah. I was telling Samaritan's Purse on that session, we talk about the planning process, and that's important. If you go and look at a verse in Proverbs, it says that you can prepare the horse for battle, but safety is in the Lord. And it's a King James version is the only one with that wording, so you have to kind of look at that. But that stuck with me for years. I've thought about that for years and years. Is that's true? You can take and prepare, but it comes down to it. You got to walk it. You got to do it, and that's like
I think it was something you had said the other day. I popped in for a minute, and I think you were talking about having a plan, and I'm almost positive you said hope is not part of your plan. And was it you that said that the other day? Did you say something about not putting hope in your plan?
No, I didn't. I didn't say. I think was that the one Dwayne Newstead?
Okay, maybe, but somebody had said, coming up with a plan and working your plan, but you don't want to put hope in your plan, and hoping that everything just goes right. And that hearing that the other day, that kind of stuck with me. And I even said something to the guys the other day at work, and we was going through our walkthrough and everything, coming up with a plan on how we was going to do these things, and we laid out a plan, and I said, you notice I didn't put hope in there, right? And I said, we want it to go right, but we're not just going to rely and hope that something is going to make it just go right, So we come up with a plan, but that stuck with me. Whoever said that the other day.
Mm. I was talking to him this week too about so many times, like if we just talk, that's one thing. Or in a lot of cases, and I ask people all the time, how many of you actually read an operator's manual? Did you learn anything from the operator's manual? I find very few people who have ever read one. And there's different rules and regulations and those kinds of things out that a lot of people have never, been open to, they've never really looked through them and read to be able to learn things from it. And we come up with the example that, Moses came down from the mount with a written tablet, and God ended up, because nobody wanted to read it, nobody wanted to pay attention to him, had to send an example. And that's where the Lord came in. That's where Jesus came into the picture. And so you start thinking he had to send somebody as an example that did it to be able to really make a difference out there. And so that's the same thing when it comes to chainsaws, is that we have to have an example. We have to set the example. And so many times when people see this or see that, if it's something that kind of goes against the common knowledge that's out there of flipping that light switch or putting on a pair of chaps or having a hard hat on, then people look at it, and it's great entertainment. It's kind of fun to watch. And it's also like when we started the competitions around the country, we added a skidder to it, and pulls. The guys would go out and they would do the felling stuff, and then we had a skidder competition that was added into it. So they go out and choker these logs and pull them back up, and it didn't draw very good crowds. I mean, it might have after a while, but it didn't draw very many crowds. And a couple of guys said, what you need to do is you need to have two skidders there pulling and tie them together and see who can pull the most. And then after that, then we figured out if we turn them around head to head and run them into each other, then we'd get a crowd. So everybody wants to see somebody get hurt. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what they're waiting for when they watch a lot of videos out there, is what's going to go wrong. Is he going to hit that house? Is he going to hit somebody? Is something going to go wrong? And we learn from those things. That's like Soren always used to say, experience is a great teacher. There's no doubt. But you got to remember there's two different kinds. There's good ones and bad ones. You want to learn the
Mm-hmm.
good ones on your own, the bad ones from somebody else. And the key there, though, when it comes to tree care and logging and really firewood, is that the injuries usually happen in the first 6 weeks to 6 months on the job, and then for some reason after the age 55. It's been that way for years. Why do you
Oh,
think that is? First of all, we're learning by the seat of our pants, and if we make it through that, for some reason we get complacent after we turn 55, and then all of a sudden we get hurt, or we break a leg, or we get arthritis, or we do this, that, and another, and we can't be as productive and safe as we used to be. Well, gentlemen, we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and I don't see anything in the form of any questions coming in.
hey, I got something to say about that hope thing.
Yeah.
The Lord's the one that keeps us safe, and it goes along with that scripture that you shared. My volunteers know. I mean, when we work on sketchy stuff. If trees are damaged and they're leaning over somebody's house, I always tell them, if they see me go through my planning process, I make my face cut, I do my bore cut. If I stop, then I put my hands on the tree and I start praying, then they need to pray too. Because I'm saying, Lord, I need you to make this thing go the right way. I've done everything I can do, but now I need you. I need your favor.
Yeah, yeah. That's quite right, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you see me praying, you start praying too and back up.
Yeah, you can only come up with so much, and then you look. He's got one on there that I looked at today. That was I think it was a old red oak that evidently had been taken on water for quite a time, and it was rotted. And he did a good job getting it down and getting out of there. But he noticed real quick, that it was because of his experience that it was rotted and dusty.
Yeah.
And it split off the front, didn't go exactly where he wanted it to go. But that's like a lot of times I have stuff that doesn't go exactly right, but I don't start it if I can't explain it. And that's what you're saying there is that, you know, when you get to that point where you're not sure what's going to happen, then you best have a big wide open spot, or either get you a lift or a helicopter and take that thing down, you know. 'Cause
It's,
it's something where you can't, if you can't say that it's going to miss those objects and you can't get away from it safely, then, you know, that's the one that you take dynamite and det cord and get rid of.
mm-hmm.
So it's,
Uh, it's funny watching some videos. Some of these tree guys post their videos, and it's one where they're not sure if it's gonna do it, make it or not. And then when it did fall just right, just did miss it, the whole crew is up and just yelling and screaming, happy, happy, happy. So for the most part, every one of them was thinking this isn't going to come out good. But when it did, their reaction showed that they didn't expect it to come out good.
yeah. Robert, you get a new phone or something? Because you got a clear picture. You must.
No, man, same old one, man. Maybe you need to get you one of these Androids.
You're on
Them old
KJ.
iPhones, man.
You're on KJ's iPhone. I know you are. No,
Yeah, somebody's trying to call me.
you just went mute.
Maybe knock the sawdust off of it.
Say something now, Robert.
Am I on?
Yeah, you're on. All right.
Somebody was calling, and
Oh.
I guess that took it away.
Well, all right, gentlemen. We've covered a lot tonight, and next week I am going to be up in North Carolina, probably Thursday night. I don't know if I'll be on or not, but I appreciate y'all dropping in tonight. And I'm going to continue this from here to there for the next few weeks. If you come across anybody with a good story, whether they come on and share it or you come on and share it, it's kind of a little project I'm working on, as to where people get their information about chainsaws and how it's passed along. And so I think that's a key thing for people to understand, that there's training out there that can also be productive, and it's something they can add to their experience, not take away from it, and not necessarily mine or yours or whatever, but it's out there. And so the attitude that we have towards that can be an important part to life for our friends and family and future. So that's cool. Well, y'all, thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Good sawing to you.
Enjoyed it, man. Y'all have a blessed one.
See y'all.
Yes, sir.
Be careful out there, Chris.
Yes, sir. We'll do.